Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us for tonight's very important workshop on substance abuse. May Allah reward all of you. Before we begin with tonight's program, we'd like to start with the recitation of the Holy Quran. I'd like to call up JMC HIF student Ajian Ahmad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تكونوا كالذين آذوا موسى فبرأه الله مما قالوا وكان عند الله وجيها يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا ليعذب الله المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات ويتوب الله على المؤمنين والمؤمنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما صدق الله العظيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته
Jazakallahu khairan Ajian Ahmad. Before introducing our guest, Dr. Omar Shareef, I wanted to give a brief background about us, JMC Youth. We are a group of brothers and sisters trying to promote Islamic awareness in our youth and help them grow as well as benefit the community in various ways through our events and activities. Alhamdulillah, by the will of Allah, we've been able to hold many events and activities regarding various topics, and we hope to continue inshallah. You can follow us on our Facebook, Jamaica Muslim Center Official, our Instagram at JMC_org, and on YouTube, Jamaica Muslim Center. I also want to mention that tonight we will be taking questions through text. Inshallah, if we have time at the end, we will try to answer some questions. If anyone has any questions, please text the question to 347-410-6478. You can also see the phone number on the wall in front of the room. Alhamdulillah, today we are honored to have with us Dr. Omar Shareef. Dr. Omar completed general psychiatry residency at Nassau University Medical Center and concurrently completed an MD, MBA dual degree from St. George's University School of Medicine. Dr. Omar is a certified adult mental health first aid instructor and practices as an outpatient psychiatrist at Creedmoor Psychiatric Center. He is also part of the Heal Collective team. You can find out more about them at healcollective.org. Without further delay, I would like to hand it off to our guest, Dr. Omar Shareef.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Hope you're all doing well, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, and thank you for the recitation in the beginning, and thank you for gassing me up. So I wanted to give a special thank you to JMC for inviting me to come speak tonight, and I want to give a special thank you to Brother Tashdid, mashallah, who personally reached out to me and connected me to talk about tonight's topic. If there's any khair that comes from tonight, and anyone benefits in any way for tonight, then I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant the sadaqah jariyah to Brother Tashdid for doing this, and of course the JMC Youth for organizing this event tonight. So tonight's topic is going to be a little bit different than like a typical usual topic that you'd have for like a Friday night halaqah, and the reason is we're going to be talking about something that's pretty difficult to talk about. We don't normally talk about this kind of topic in a masjid. And that's something that I really want to give a shout out to JMC for, because I have a hard time talking about this particular topic. What we're going to be discussing tonight is substance use and addiction. And this is a little scary. For someone who isn't familiar with this, it can be a little bit of a scary thing. For those who are familiar with this, you'll probably know how rampant this is. And especially in our Muslim community, how rampant this is. And so for tonight, I am not a mufti, I am not a sheikh. I'm not here to tell you about whether something is halal or haram or makruh or whatever. I'm not dropping fiqh tonight. I'm simply discussing what these things are, what they do to your body, what are the signs and symptoms, and how do you get help. That's what we're going to be focusing on tonight. So, normally speaking, at an event like this, it's disrespectful to have your phone out and use your phone while the speaker is talking. What I want everyone to do tonight, for me, is if you have your cell phone, take your cell phone out. Everybody, take your cell phone out. All your phones out. And make sure you're connected to the Wi-Fi. If not, 4G, whatever works for you. But take your phone out. And then up on the screen, you're going to see a website. I want you to open up the browser on your phone. If it's Firefox, Chrome, whatever it is, open up a browser and put in vevox.app. vevox.app. When you put in that website, you're going to see a little space on your screen, and it's going to ask you for a number. You're going to put in that number you're seeing right there, 114-556-933. When you put that in, you should see JMC addiction. Do you guys see that on your screens? Yeah? You see it? Okay. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you guys are with me, if everyone's on the same page and we're all set. We're all set, sisters too? You guys are all set? You got it on your screens? No, not yet? Okay. Just open your browser, whichever browser, put vevox.app. You don't have to download anything. I would never make you download any weird stuff on your phone. It's just the browser. You put in that website. You don't have to put in HTTP, www, none of that. Just vevox.app. Put in the code, and you'll see JMC addiction. Okay, we're good? Everybody good? We're ready? Okay, so we're going to practice this. The way this is going to work is I'm going to put a question up on the screen. Oh my God. I'm going to put a question up on the screen, and that question is going to put up on your, you're going to see the question on your phone. All you do is hit the answer on your phone, and then it'll register your answer, and then we'll see the answers pop up on the screen. Okay? Yes? What do you see? Uh-huh. Okay, just make sure you put it exactly the way you see it over there. Take a look at the code, double check the code again. Make sure you're not missing a number. Okay, let me know when you guys are ready. Ah, that's bright. You guys all set? Yeah? Awesome. Okay, here we go. We're going to start with our first question. You're going to see it pop up on your phone. Click the answer, and you're set. That's all you got to do. Okay, everyone ready? I don't know if this is being streamed online, Tashid, also. There's a bunch of online folks who are also here, or no? Okay, that's fine. If they're not, they're not. Okay, here we go. Here's the question up on the screen. You're going to see the answers on your phone. All you guys got to do is answer the question. That's all you got to do. Okay, not bad. We have answers coming in. I don't know if you guys can see it, but if you look up top, you see a little green bar up there underneath the JMC? That's how many of you are currently in, and that's how many answers are being put in up there. So that's how you can keep track. Okay, 15 out of 15. Thank you. Nobody else is missing tonight? Everyone got their answers in? All right, here we go. Let's see what you guys picked. Ooh, okay. All right. So for tonight, most of you are number one. I think a good quarter of you are number one. And a couple of you are caffeine crazy, number two. If you pick number two, are you okay? How much caffeine have you guys had? Number three, if you're excited, mashallah, that's fantastic that you're excited for a really depressing topic like this, but I'm happy to hear that. Number 4, I never understood number 4. I don't actually get what number 4 is. It's just Squidward 3D. I don't know what that means. And maybe someone feels like they're 3D. I don't know. But we are 3D, aren't we? But anyways, so no one's number 4. Number 5, if you're feeling handsome tonight, mashallah, may Allah increase you in that look. If that's how you're feeling. If you're feeling yourself tonight, you feel like number 5, hey, that's good. Number 6, I really hope you're okay with number 6. I hope you get some sleep tonight. I hope you relax and take it easy because you're probably on edge and you're probably not feeling it. Number 7 is relax, Squidward. If you're feeling number 7, he looks kind of weird. He looks kind of creepy too. Like he's creeping on something. Number 8, if you're feeling confident, hey, that's great. I'm so glad you're feeling number 8. And then whoever picked number 9, come talk to me afterwards. I'm sorry that you're crying. I'm sorry that you're feeling like you're crying. But that's okay. It's okay to cry too. So, yeah. Thank you guys for answering. I appreciate it. Good job. So it works. This is just our test tonight to see that it works. So I'm glad to hear it. So as we go through tonight's presentation, you're going to see a lot of these questions come up. As these questions come up, all you guys do, just hit the answer on your phone, and you'll see everything come up on screen. That's it. That's all you got to do. Okay? So we're going to get started with talking about addiction. And what we're going to be talking about first and foremost is what exactly is addiction? What do we mean when we talk addiction? When people think addiction, they always think drugs. Not necessarily the case. So, addiction, just the simplest way to put it, is when you can't get something out of your mind. You can't get something out of your mind. You're obsessively thinking about it over and over and over and over again. And you keep trying to do something or go somewhere or engage in something even though it's hurting you. You're still doing it anyway. So, we generally think about addiction with 4 separate things. These are the 4 things that we look for. The first thing that you see up on the screen is called tolerance. Tolerance means that the more you do something or the more you engage in something, the less effect it has. So I'll give you a good example. If I got you like an Oreo cake tonight, and I told you this Oreo cake is all yours, you get to eat it, no one else gets. Everyone will watch you eat it because no one else gets to eat it but you. And you're thinking to yourself, this is the best Oreo cake I've ever had. If I told you after you finish the Oreo cake, I have 8 more cakes and you have to eat all 8. By the time you get to the 8th cake, will you like Oreo anymore? Yeah. If you said yes, I have 16 more cakes for you lined up. And I have every uncle upstairs baking more for you. And I'm going to keep churning out cakes until you finally tell me, I think I'm good. So, first one's going to be tolerance. Tolerance is basically the first cake is the best cake you've ever had. The second cake is, okay, this is good, I'm liking this. The third cake is, okay, I'm getting a little full. This cake is fine, thank you. By the time you eat the 4th cake, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm kind of done with this. Please no more. By the time you eat the 5th cake, you're thinking, I can't take any more of this. I'm done. By the time I give you the 6th cake, you're thinking to yourself, this was a big mistake. I should have never eaten cake. By the time I give you the 7th cake, you're thinking to yourself, I will never eat cake again for the rest of my life. By the time I give you the 8th cake, you're going to be like, I'm done. I'm finished. I'm going to destroy the store that makes these cakes. No one should have these cakes anymore. This is tolerance. This is tolerance. The more and more and more you consume something, the less and less effect it has on you. Next up is withdrawal. Withdrawal is basically if I take the cake away from you and I tell you no more cake, you're done. And then all I do is I put Oreos in front of you, but you're not allowed to touch them. You're going to go nuts. You're going to go crazy because I'm going to tell you that you can watch and smell Oreos and look at Oreos, but you can never put one on your mouth. Eventually, you're going to reach a point where you really seriously want Oreos, but you're not allowed to have. This is called a craving. You can literally taste the water in your mouth because you really want to eat, but you can't. So this is your body physically reacting. Your body wants something, but it can't have it. That's a withdrawal. Next one is a craving. Craving is when you are thinking of nothing else but this. I can put in front of you like really nice kebabs and rice, but you don't care because that's not what you want. You want one thing. What do you want right now? Oreos. The only thing you want is Oreos. And I'm telling you, bro, look at this. I'm putting cheesecake in front of you. I'm putting like watermelon lollipops in front of you. I'm putting like chicken lollipop in front of you. I'm putting all this amazing food in front of you. But it doesn't matter. There's only one thing you want. There's only one thing you'll ever eat, and you won't want anything else. That's a craving. That's a craving. The last one on the list you're going to see is emotional obsession. Emotional obsession is basically nothing else is on your mind but that one thing. So when you wake up in the morning, you're walking outside, your Uncle G comes up, and the Uncle G's like, "Kevin, also, how are you feeling? How are you doing?" And you answer with Oreo. And the uncle doesn't understand what you're saying. He's like, "I don't get it. What do you mean?" And the uncle says, okay, nice to meet you, Oreo. Can you tell me how you're feeling today and how you're doing? And the only thing you say is, Oreo. The only thing you can think of is, Oreo. You're in school, what's on your mind? Oreo. Nothing else is on your mind but that thing. That's it. This is an obsession. You can't shake it. You can't shake it out of your mind. This is bad because you can't do anything else in your life except think of Oreos. So that is how we define an addiction. So this is going to be super important. This is something that I talk about in every community that I go to, and this is super important for you to know, which is addiction and using a substance and using something bad is considered a sickness. It's an illness. It's something that requires treatment. This is super important to know. So first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about a lot of drugs tonight. We're going to be talking about a lot of drugs, we're going to be talking about a lot of things that are like super haram. But the point of it is not that it's halal haram. The point of it is that people are struggling with this. They're struggling with this. They're having a hard time dealing with this. And that's the important thing I want to focus on, which is this is not a conversation about halal haram. This is a conversation about you need help. You need help. That's what I want the conversation to focus on. So addiction, when I want you to think of addiction, addiction is a brain disease. It's a disease. The way I like to think of it is that nothing is on your mind but Oreo. It's because your brain has been twisted and contorted and it only thinks of Oreo now. Your brain has been broken. Your brain is injured. It's hurt. The fact that the uncle asks you how are you doing and you're answering Oreo, something's wrong. Something's wrong here. So that's why you consider this a sickness. This is something that needs help. Now it's an important thing to note that I want to point out at the bottom right here. This is super, super important. Addiction isn't just something you put in your mouth. Addiction isn't just something you use. Addiction can be anything. Anything can become an addiction. It just has to have those four things. Where you do so much of it that it stops having the same effect. Secondly, you get withdrawals. Your body shakes and reacts when you don't have it. The third is that you can't stop thinking about it. It's on your mind all the time, and then your body has cravings. You crave it. If it hits these four things, it is an addiction. So if you look at the bottom, what do you see down there? What do you guys see on the bottom? Gambling can be an addiction. Gambling money can be an addiction. What do you see next to that? Betting. And what do you see after that? Video games can become an addiction. You're thinking to yourself, I don't put video games in my mouth. Well, if you do, that's a different story. But if you put video games in your mouth, this can become an addiction. If you play video games all day, every day, nothing but games, you're online all the time, you never log off, you're always gaming, this is considered an addiction. If I turn the TV off and unplug and the first reaction you have is get me back on, I want to be back on, stop taking that away from me, and then you run to your friend's house and you play there, you have a problem. You have a problem. Video games are taking over. It's warped and twisted your brain into thinking this is all I want, this is all I need, and nothing else. So we're going to talk about different types of addiction. So look on that side of the screen. So over here, you guys will see all the typical things that people can get addicted to. So you can get addicted to alcohol, cocaine, marijuana, drugs, methamphetamines, hallucinogens. We'll talk about each of these. We will. But look on that side over there. What do you guys see on that side over there? What else can you get addicted to? Food you can get addicted to. And you're thinking to yourself, how is food the same thing as this? No way. This stuff, straight up, is haram. How can food become something haram? That doesn't make sense. It's always haram. Everything there. Well, it's like haram. But everything there is permissible. You can have it. Internet is not haram. You can use internet. You're using it right now. But what happens when this consumes you? It consumes you. And it takes over your entire life. Is this now something that's healthy for you now? No, not anymore. Even regular food can become unhealthy for you. We're talking food can become unhealthy for you. If all you're doing is getting addicted to food, all you're doing is eating, all you can think about is eating, nothing matters to you but eating, it takes you over. Second is exercise. People can excessively exercise to the point where they're skin and bones. They're hurting their body by exercising. You think of exercising as a positive thing, and it is a positive thing, but taken too far, a positive thing can hurt you. Video games, internet, love, and then pornography, of course. Every single one of these is a risk of someone getting addicted to it. So, what does addiction look like? What are the symptoms? How do you know if you have an addiction or not? So, if you look up here, these are the 6 key symptoms we're going to be talking about tonight. For everything. It counts for everything that we're going to be talking about. First and foremost, what we talked about before, cravings. You think about using, you think about putting that thing in your mouth, you think about having that thing in your life. That's what you're thinking about all the time. You can't think about anything else but that. You're obsessed with it. You want to cut back. You know it's wrong. You know you shouldn't have this much. You know you should probably stop. But you can't. But you can't. It's almost like your body's on autopilot. Your body is thinking and feeling for you. You're not in control anymore. The next symptom, you're using whatever it is, you're taking the substance or you're engaging in the activity for longer and for a larger amount than what you're supposed to. So for example, if I'm telling you that every night I play Valorant for like an hour and a half, I play Valorant online. This is what I do. This is how long I play for. And then maybe like a week or two later, I'm not playing for an hour and a half anymore. I'm playing for 5 hours now every single night. The first thing I do the minute I come home is I hop on my computer, I log on, and I'm online gaming. And I online game until 1 a.m., 2 a.m. The next 2 weeks after that, I'm not going to school anymore, actually. I've skipped school, I'm calling out sick, and I'm gaming all day. Has my video game turned into a regular play, or is this a problem now in my life? It's become a problem in my life, and the reason is because I'm using larger and larger amounts and longer than I'm meant to. Longer than I'm meant to. And this is, of course, for gaming. It can be for any substance, too. That you're eating, consuming more, and taking it for a longer amount. Next up, take a look up there. Neglecting other parts of your life because of what you're engaged in. For example, I gave you guys the example of me gaming, and I told you that I'm skipping school now because of gaming. I'm skipping meals now because of gaming. I don't have time to eat. I don't have time to study. I don't have time to do anything else. There are important parts of my life that I'm neglecting because of what I'm engaged in. Next up, take a look over there. You are continuing to use even when it hurts the people around you. It can hurt your parents, it can hurt your family, it can hurt your siblings, it can hurt other people, it can hurt your friends. You're hurting other people around you, but you're still using anyway. You cannot stop. That's another major symptom that people have. And the final one, if you look at that pill bottle, what's on the pill bottle? It's a skull. You're using because it's hurting you. It's putting your body in danger. You're harming yourself, but you're doing it anyway. So everything you see on the screen up here, all 6 major symptoms, this is how we know whether someone has an addiction or someone is heading towards an addiction. So if any one of these sound like you, if it sounds like a friend that you know, if it sounds like somebody you know, they're probably on their way to an addiction or suffering from an addiction. So we're going to have a quick question I'm going to throw up. So I want you guys to refresh on your phones. If you're no longer on the site, you still have it up top. You'll see it right there, VOXapp app and the number to join if you want to rejoin. So hop back on. You guys should see the question pop up on your phone. You should see the question pop up on your phone. How familiar are you with substance use and addiction? Here's the important thing I'm going to say for these questions. These questions are anonymous. I don't know that it's you that's answering. I don't know who anyone is when you answer. All it just pops up as is a number. So you're completely anonymous when you submit this response. Nobody knows what your response is. I don't even know what your response is. So go ahead. Make your selections and then submit. Oh, it is upstairs? Oh, I didn't know.
No, it's doing live stream on YouTube.
Okay, on YouTube? Oh, that's what I asked you. Yeah. Okay. We got 2 more people. Almost there. Who's holding on? Oh, there we go. 1 more person left. Oh, it is? Oh, okay. No, you just answered. You're good. You're in. Okay, 15 out of 15. Let's close and let's see everybody's answers. Wow. Okay. So take a look. Take a look, and this is us. This is us answering. What you're seeing on the screen is us. It's our community. It's all of you. So 20% of our audience tonight, this is maybe a quarter of the crowd tonight, have friends who use, who smoke, and or drink. There's 20% of folks here in the audience tonight who actually are talking about their family. Someone in their family is using. If you look at number 5, half the crowd, 50%, half of everyone tonight knows someone at school who's using or regularly using. Take a look at number 6. 13% of our crowd tonight knows someone here in the masjid who's actively using. How about number 7? I've seen addiction and drug in shows online and movies. Almost 70%, almost everyone in the audience has a familiarity with seeing this happen. And then of course number 8, I've never encountered substances or addiction, and that's 13%. But the important thing that I want to focus on is 3, 4, and 5. And of course I want to point out number 6 too, but 3, 4, and 5 are very significant. That there are a bunch of people here who have friends who are regularly using. Number 4 breaks my heart. There are family members that you know who are using. And then of course number 5, it's so rampant at school. I remember when I was in school, it's the same thing. People would offer me at school all the time. I remember there was a guy who offered me marijuana a few times. Someone offered me, I forgot what it was. It was like a party pill they offered me. They figured I'm a big guy, and they're like, they didn't know. I wasn't very openly Muslim. I was just me. I didn't talk to friends. I was very lonely and very like, I had a fob mustache and like a desi afro. Kind of a bum and a loser in high school, but someone offered me, I remember someone offered me. I was on the bus. I remember someone offered me. But I know people at school who pretty much used regularly. They came into class high, I remember. And that was the first time I actually learned what marijuana smelled like, was middle school. This is where I learned what the smell was. You actually smell it outside sometimes. It's like a very distinct smell. If you haven't smelled it, you know what it smells like. And then of course, number 6, people in the community who have used. So thank you guys for answering honestly. I appreciate it. So what you're going to see on the screen is what I'm going to focus on tonight. I know this looks like a lot of like gobbledygook. I have no idea what's going on up there. Don't worry about any of that. I'm going to break this down so it's super simple and straightforward for everyone. So picture yourself as a circle. Everyone here, you're all circles. Everyone here is a circle, okay? Your circle is like a pizza pie, and your pizza pie has 4 slices. There's 4 slices of your pizza, okay? So the first slice of pizza that makes you, 25% of you, is going to be that part up there. And that part up there is physical. Forget all that biochemical cell organ. This is not med school. I'm not giving you a med school lecture. It's just something physical. That part of the circle is your physical body. So that part of your circle, if you, let's say you're outside and you slip on some ice, and when you slip on some ice, you fall and you break your elbow outside of JMC, and then you sue JMC for all its money. But you fall outside and break your elbow outside. This is a physical injury. Something has physically hurt you. You've broken a bone. This is a physical. That part right up there, that part of the circle gets hurt in that regard. It regards everything physical. Look at the next part of the circle. What's the next part of the circle that you see up there? Psychological. Psychological is the next one. Psychological is pertaining to your mental health. The way you think, the way you feel, your emotions. Now, what does an injury there look like? Now, if I go outside and I break my arm, that doesn't mean that I'm emotionally hurt. It just means that I'm physically hurt. This next part would be if I'm feeling really sad, if I'm feeling really depressed, if I'm feeling very anxious, if I have anxiety, if I'm suffering from some sort of mental illness, that's what a wound here looks like. It doesn't look like a broken bone. It looks like I'm having an emotional reaction to something. Now, the next part of the circle, the third part of every single one of our circles is our social health. Our social health means all your friendships, all your family connections, everyone around you that lives in your life. So what does a wound here look like? How do you get hurt over here in your social life? You get hurt over here when someone in your family hits you, when someone in your family yells at you, when one of your friends hurts you, when someone gossips about you, when someone backbites about you, when someone betrays your trust. It's all getting hurt from what other people do to us. That's what a wound in the social part of your circle looks like. And then there's the final part of our circle. The final part of our circle is spiritual. This is only one relationship that matters. It's a relationship between you and Allah. What does a spiritual wound look like? How do you get hurt spiritually? Anyone know? Anyone have any ideas? How do you get hurt spiritually? That's true. That's one of them. That's like a crisis of faith, where you stop believing in what you're believing in because you're not sure what you believe in anymore. What's another way you can get spiritually hurt? What's another way you can get hurt spiritually? Anyone else have any ideas? When someone tells you Jesus is God. It's an attack on your faith, which essentially is an attack on you, but it's a spiritual. That's the time where usually what I recommend, and I tell my sisters the same thing. So the hijab pins that you use, dip it in poison, and then keep it, and then the next time someone says it, you just, and he'll be like, ow! And then you'll know the damage won't be now. The damage will be when the poison takes effect. And then when he gets home, he'll just, and he'll never know that it was you. So, just saying. And I'm a doctor, so take my doctorly advice on that. Anyways, please don't do that. Please don't. And you're laughing, but honestly, most of you will probably get stabbed by a hijab pin by somebody else. So it ain't funny until you get stabbed. Okay. Anyways, yeah, sorry. There was another hand up or another question, I think. Yes? Spiritual abuse. That's what I was waiting for. Yes. Spiritual abuse is similar to social abuse. So remember what I told you? If someone shouts at you, yells at you, hits you, or beats you, this is considered a social wound because someone else is doing something to you. Now imagine if, and this is something that I can speak to experience for, if someone from a religious authority hits you or beats you and then tells you that I'm doing this in the name of Islam. So a lot of violence in our households, a lot of anger, a lot of abuse is under the guise of this is Islamic, or I'm doing this because you're a bad Muslim, or I'm doing this to punish you because it's not me punishing you, it's Allah punishing you that I'm doing this. This is considered a spiritual abuse. This is a spiritual wound. It doesn't just hurt you physically. You're not just getting a physical hurt, you're not just getting socially hurt, you're getting spiritually hurt too, because now Islam itself, or someone using Islam, is now hurting you. So all three parts of your circle get damaged when something like that happens. Now, picture the circle, just like I told you guys. Let's say that you're suffering from anxiety. You got a lot of nervousness, and you got a lot of anxiety. Your heart beats really fast, you get very scared, you get very nervous, your stomach goes in knots whenever you have to stand in front of class and present something. Or whenever you're like in a large group of people, you feel very anxious and worried. You go to talk to your mom and dad, and you tell your mom and dad, I'm feeling really, really anxious. What's the first thing your mom and dad usually will tell you if they hear this out of you, that I'm depressed or I'm anxious? What do they tell you? What's the usual thing? Well, you're faking it, just be happy, walk it off, what's your problem? I'll give you something to cry about, usually something like that. They'll tell you. But when it comes to the circle, if your parents are trying to fix your problem, what part of the circle do your parents usually recommend something to you to fix your problem? Spirit, what do they say? Read Quran, pray, make dua. Yes, right. Where is your problem coming from in the circle? It's coming from psychological. But where is the solution being offered from? So are you fixing the primary problem? No, you're not. Let me give you a different example. I give you a psychological problem. Let's give the physical problem. I walk outside JMC, I trip on some ice and I fall and I fracture my arm. I break my arm. My arm is broken. I'm like bleeding and I'm hurting in front of the masjid. Now, give me a spiritual prescription for myself. Tell me something spiritual. Allah will make it better. Give me something else. Make dua. I literally cannot. But okay, make dua, sure, absolutely. Does this fix my primary problem? No, it doesn't. What do I have to do right now in this moment? Call 911, get myself to a hospital right now. The last thing you should do is drag me back inside the masjid and make me pray another 2 rakahs. I have a broken bone. I need help right now. I need clinical help. This is what we learn in Islam, the lesson that we have in Islam. It's a very simple lesson, but it's an important lesson in Islam, which is you tie your camel first, then place your faith in Allah. But you tie your camel first. So when it comes to you getting hurt somewhere, just like with a broken bone, you get a cast, you get a splint, you get painkillers, you get clinical treatment, you get a trip to the ER, the doctor gives you treatment, then you place your faith in Allah because Allah will be the one to heal you. You make dua, you pray, you do everything you need to do, you get every spiritual aspect you need, but you took care of something first. What did you take care of first? Biological. Where did the treatment come from? Biological. Where's the wound? Biological. And now where am I getting help from for the rest of my circle? Spiritual. What if I hang out with friends? I have a broken bone and someone comes and signs my cast. What part of the circle is helping me? Social. That's fantastic. Right now I have a broken bone and I feel really, really bad about my broken bone. This is the worst thing ever. I hate this. So a couple of people come over to my house and they celebrate. They bring me some cake. They bring me some food. They give me some balloons. They're cheering me up. What am I feeling right now? Happy. What part of the circle is being affected? Psychological. Do you see this? Do you see how it works now? How everything works here? So, for example, if I go to my mom and dad and I tell them about mom and dad, I'm feeling very depressed. Where's my wound? Psychological. And then my mom tells me, oh my God, I can't believe this. You're complaining about this stuff. Stop being sad. Get up, go pray, go make dua. Where's the solution coming from? Spiritual. Keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. The most important way to treat something that is hurting is you get the primary treatment where the primary wound is, and then all the other parts of the circle come out to support. That's what I want you to look at. Now, let's talk about addiction. The way addiction works with this big circle that I just drew is, first and foremost, if someone were to use a substance, for example, let's give a quick example. I find a brother outside, and the brother is drinking alcohol. He's drinking alcohol outside. What's the first assumption you make about this guy? What do you think about this guy when you see this? Well, he's drunk. That could be one. What else are you thinking? He's not Muslim. What else are you thinking? He's a bad person. Probably a bad Muslim. What else are you thinking? He's hurt. Probably. Maybe he's hurt. Yeah, in the back. All the way in the back. He's an alcoholic. That could be a good one. Yeah, you guys are giving me good ones. Anything? Disrespectful, because he's doing it in front of the masjid. Yes, and there's one more hand up. Yes. Maybe he's emotionally damaged and he's drinking now. Fantastic. I love it. I love everything you're giving me. So, let's take a look at our alcoholic guy and let's look at his circle. So in his circle, all we're seeing is that he is drinking. Where do you think his wound might be for this guy who's drinking? Yeah? Could it be all of them? It could be emotional. So here's what I will tell you, which is someone who may be suffering from drinking and drinking a lot and getting drunk in front of a masjid, I would say, in my opinion, all 4 parts of his circle are wounded. He's hurt in all 4 parts. So here, we're going to start with physically. Remember what I told you about addiction? What happens to your body physically when you're addicted? What happens? Do you remember? You're going to crave for it. And remember what I told you before? Can you control yourself when you have a craving, when you have an addiction? You can't control yourself anymore. You can't control yourself anymore. He's not the one in control of his drinking. His drinking is in control of him. He has forfeited the way that he can stop himself. Remember I told you about the brain? The brain itself gets rewired. And now all of a sudden the alcohol is in control of him at this point. So physically speaking, his body physically is addicted towards a substance. He can't stop. Now, how about psychologically? Remember psychologically, what happens to your mind when you're addicted to something? What happens to your mind when you're addicted to something? Yeah, give me the example. What happens? All you think about is that thing. Can you think of anything else? Does anything else work for you if you try to do something else? No. So if I were to drag that guy into the masjid and tell him to pray, what's on his mind the entire time he's praying? Alcohol is all he's thinking about whenever he's praying. Can he control this? No, he cannot. So the second part, psychological, is broken. Something is broken inside of him. He can't control it. Let's go to social. Usually, when someone gets something or obtains something, do they obtain it from someone else? Is someone selling him this? Possibly someone selling him this. Now, if he meets a group of other guys and they all drink too, and he finds comfort in drinking with them, what part of the circle is now broken? The social part. Because can he quit if he's with a bunch of other people drinking? Can he quit? No, he's not going to be able to quit. Because the minute he tries to, they're going to offer him more. When he stops showing up, they're going to come find him. He's going to continue to keep using because everyone else around him is using. What if he goes to a place where nobody's drinking? He's the only one. Is he going to continue then? Probably not, because he doesn't want to be singled out. So the social part of his circle is broken because everyone he's surrounding himself with is hurting him. And he's engaging in it. Then let's go to the last one. The last one is spiritually. Now, let's say, for example, someone had called out a few times that he's a bad Muslim. Why is he a bad Muslim? Because he's drinking, and drinking is haram. So if he's doing something haram, naturally he is committing a sin. So if you commit a lot of sins, you are a bad Muslim, right? So here's my argument to you, which is, he's probably going to tell you, I'm drinking, and the reason why I'm drinking is because I'm a bad Muslim. I'll always be a bad Muslim. I'll never be a good Muslim. I don't deserve to be a good Muslim. Allah will never forgive me. Allah will never be happy with me. Allah will always think of me and my mistakes. The Muslim community will never accept me back. So therefore, I will always forever be a bad Muslim, and I will never be a good Muslim, so I have no reason to stop. And Allah will punish me anyway, so I'm just going to keep doing it. What part of the circle now is broken for this man after hearing this? Does this sound like a man who has any strength coming out of his spiritual part of his circle? No, not at all. This is now the complete circle and picture of this brother that I just told you who is drinking alcohol. Do you see how complicated a problem this is and how many parts of his life are damaged? in order for this alcohol to take effect. Is he drinking because it makes him feel good? He's trying, but is he actually feeling good? No. So if he drinks a little bit and it doesn't make him feel good, what is he going to do next? He's going to drink more. He's going to drink even more. But is it fixing anything? No. In fact, it's making it worse each time he uses. So he's going to keep drinking more and more and more and more until eventually he can't drink anymore. And does the circle heal? No. How do you help someone like this? What would you do? It's a good start. I agree. Give me some more ideas. What else do we do? Yeah. See a therapist. What part would the therapist help? Yeah, psychological. And you told me to throw away the alcohol. If he throws away the alcohol and he doesn't have alcohol anymore, what part of the circle gets helped? Biological gets helped. Give me another session. Yeah. That's true. He should hang out with better people who aren't drinking. What part of the circle is being helped? Social. Now, there's the last one left. What's the last one? We didn't touch this part yet. Yes, what's the last one? Give me a shout out for how you can help the last part. What can you do? Beautiful. What part of the circle is being helped? Spiritual. Do you see now all the different ways you can help someone? But you can't just do one part alone. Every single part has to be put into place. All four pieces have to be connected for someone to get the help that they need. And then Allahu Alam, you never know. If you can help this brother with physical, psychological, social, and spiritual, you might just see him back at the masjid again. Clean, sober, smelling great, in the front row, praying again. And now you've helped this man recover. You've helped him recover. You helped him heal because the broken parts of his circle are now being patched up. This is how I want you to think about addiction. The way you guys just helped this one brother, that's how I want you to think about helping people tonight. So I'm going to touch upon something really, really complicated, but don't worry about it. This is a med school lecture. You don't have to memorize any of this stuff. The only thing I'm going to touch upon here is I'm going to start first with physical, and I'll go through all the four parts of the circle and how it gets affected. So first we're going to start with the physical part. So everything you see up there, all this fancy stuff that you see up on the brain, the entire point of all of this is I just want you to think about how the brain works. And how the brain works is, I'm going to give you one example, which is, give me something that makes you feel happy. Something that makes you happy. Give me something, anything. What makes you happy? Eid? Okay, Eid. So it's Eid. And on Eid, you're going to get money, you're going to get food, you're going to get family, you're going to dress up nice, you can take nice pictures for Instagram, if you care about taking nice pictures for Instagram, or whatever it is. So it's going to make you happy. When you get happy, there is a happy chemical in the brain that gets released, and that chemical tells your brain that you are happy. That's the way your brain kind of works. So think of all these fancy things up here that you're seeing. Don't worry about any of them. All I want you to know is that one part of the brain releases a happy chemical. It makes you happy. Okay? Yes, there's a question. The happy chemical is called serotonin, and the other happy chemical is called dopamine. These are two chemicals. I want you to focus just on dopamine. The word we use for dopamine, the acronym is DA. When you see DA up on the screen, you know I'm talking about dopamine. Dopamine is a happy chemical. Happy chemical. So, take a look at food. Take a look at where your happy chemical is. You see the level 100? So take a look at level 100. And then, when you eat food, what happens to the happy chemical level? It goes way up. What does it go up to? Well, about 150 it goes up to. And then once you're eating, once you're like done eating, the food's done and finished, what happens to your happy chemical after that? What do you see it doing? It goes down. It goes down. It goes down. And then the other thing I want to point out, which is sexual activity that humans can engage in, look how high the happy chemical goes up. It goes up to 200. And then it starts to taper off. I want you to pick up with these numbers. These numbers are really, really important. The happy chemical, when you're eating something, the happy chemical for humans goes up to 150 to 200. And these are normal human behaviors, normal things every human does. Okay? I'm going to show you the next screen, and I want you to take a look at the numbers for the next screen. Okay? Take a look at the numbers for the next screen. Let's start first with everyone knows this drug. It's cigarettes. It's nicotine. Nicotine is in cigarettes. Take a look at your happy chemical. Where do you start? And now I'm going to smoke a cigarette. What happens to my happy chemical? How high does it go? 225. Does this make you happier than food? Yes, it makes you happier than food. Can I smoke a cigarette and skip a meal? Yes, I totally can, because I feel so much better smoking than I do eating. I feel way happier smoking than I do eating. So why am I going to eat anymore? I can just smoke. What happens after you finish smoking? What do you see? It goes down. Until what? Until what do I do again? And if I smoke again, what happens to the level? It goes back up again, right? Right? You would think so. Let's look at the top one. Amphetamines. Amphetamines are meth. So if someone tells you about meth, that's a methamphetamine. Adderall is another type of methamphetamine. These are like very, very powerful stimulants. Take a look where the happy chemical starts. Where does the happy chemical go? No. Take a look. Where does it go? It goes to 1,000. Can a normal human being on their own achieve that kind of happiness level? No, it's not possible. It's not possible for a human to achieve this. There's only one way a human can achieve this. Through the use of a drug is the only way you can achieve this level. Look at what happens after you finish the amphetamine. Look how far. Do you see the drop? Look how huge the drop is after you stop using. What does that make you want to do? Do it again, obviously, because I want that level to go back up again. Take a look at cocaine. Look how high the level goes up, and then what do you see about the level then? It goes down. Take a look at morphine. Morphine is an opiate. It's a painkiller. Take a look at how slowly the level goes up, and look how long it stays up high and then goes down. So after you take this drug and after your happiness chemicals go up that high, would you want to do normal human things again anymore? No. Why would you ever want to do normal human things anymore? What do you want to do? Yeah, I want more of that. Keep it up. Now here's the important thing. Remember what I told you guys before? What was the first major symptom of addiction? That if I use something and I keep eating Oreos, what happens to me? I build a tolerance. That means I need more Oreos for the same effect. So if I take nicotine, I smoke a cigarette, does my level go back up to 225 or over there? Does it go back up to that same level again? No, it doesn't. It goes a little high. It does go up, but does it ever go that high again? No. What do I have to do to get it that high again? I got to double it. I have to smoke twice. I have to smoke 3 times. I have to smoke 4 times. I have to keep smoking. I have to keep doing it to keep the level high. Because if I stop smoking, what happens to my pleasure level? It's going to go down. Now do you understand where the use comes from? Why someone would want to use? Picture the guy drinking alcohol. Picture why he's drinking alcohol. Picture what happens when he stops drinking. What does he want to do the minute he stops drinking? He wants to drink more. Why? Because look what it's doing inside his brain. It's rewiring the brain's pleasure chemicals. If you offer that guy a huge dish of like kebab and rice, will he find pleasure in that? Oh, he's not. No, he's not. Not at all. If you tell him your family's coming over and your family's visiting you and they're bringing you lots of food and like sweets and snacks and stuff, will he find happiness in that anymore? With his family, will he find happiness like that anymore? No, he's not. Nothing in his life is going to find that happiness anymore. What does he want and what's the only thing he's going to go after now? Exactly. This is where addiction comes from. This is why people use, understand what it does to the brain and how it overrides someone's happiness. And the minute you use, you're trapped. You're trapped in a cycle. And the only way to break that cycle is to let those pleasure chemicals go back down to normal again and let them stay normal again. But what's the other major symptom someone has? What are they constantly thinking about? They're only thinking about drugs. They're having, and what are they having? Cravings for more. You can't stop using. This is the endless cycle that someone gets trapped in. So up on the screen, you're going to see the cycle of addiction. So we're going to start right around, let's see. We can start here. This is where we can start. We can start first with fantasizing, because this is something that if you've never used drugs before, you're probably super curious. You're probably thinking to yourself, I think every Muslim at some point has probably wondered, these like white people drink alcohol all the time. I wonder what it tastes like. It smells really nasty, but I wonder what it tastes like. I know for myself, I've always had a curiosity and like, I can smell bacon. I'm super curious. Like they eat this stuff like it's the most amazing thing ever. I wonder what it tastes like. Would I ever do it? No, I probably wouldn't. But I do have like a little thing in my head of like, I'm curious. And I remember asking, we had at Sunday school, I remember asking people, what's the one thing you would try in Jannah? And one kid was like, I want to eat bacon in Jannah. And I'm like, okay, I mean, all right. I mean, that's why you want to go to Jannah and eat bacon. But okay, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's halal bacon up there. Maybe it tastes really great. Maybe that's the reason to go to Jannah. May Allah increase that little kid in Jannah bacon in his life. But the first thing we're going to start with is fantasizing. All it takes is a single thought. The thought of wanting to use or wanting to do something. Even out of curiosity. I have no bad reason. It's just curiosity. I'm just curious. What happens from my curiosity? What does my curiosity turn into? An obsession. This is all I can think about. This is all like, I just want to know. I'm going to go online. I'm going to like read about this stuff. I'm going to like watch videos about this stuff. I'm going to ask my friends about this stuff. I see my friends smoking. I'm going to come stand next to them and ask them, hey, what does it taste like? What does it feel like? What are you doing? Give me like one hit, just one try. I just want to see what it feels like. Just let me know. Like, I'm not going to use, obviously not. Don't tell my parents. Like, I just want to feel something just to see what it is. What happens after obsession? You start using. And then, of course, you tell yourself, it's just that one hit. It's just that one smoke. It's just that one drink. It's just that one thing. But what happens with your pleasure chemicals when you use? What happens to the chemical level? It skyrockets. It goes way up. So what happens quickly after substance use? You lose control. And now, after you're using, remember that guy in front of the masjid drinking? What is he thinking in his head when he sees you looking at him? What is he thinking in his head? So what comes next? You become very guilty about why you're using. You feel ashamed. You feel embarrassed. If if my parents find out that I did this, if like someone at the masjid, if one of my friends caught me using, what was going to happen to me? I can't believe it. I'm never going to hear the end of it. I'm going to straight up go home. My parents will straight up kill me if they ever find out. So I feel very guilty about my use. So because I feel really guilty, what do I try to do? I try to stop. That's using cessation. To cease something, you're trying to stop using. So let's say that guy in front of the masjid feels really guilty about drinking in front of the masjid. He feels really bad. So he throws the bottle away, and then he tries to not drink anymore. He lasts maybe a day. He can get through like a day or two. But then the cravings are too strong. The obsessions are way too strong. The pleasure chemical has dipped really low. He really has a strong craving, and he can't handle it anymore. So after a passage of time, what does he start feeling? Frustrated about what he's feeling, because where is his pleasure chemical? It's super low. So you're feeling really angry, irritable, frustrated. So what does his mind begin doing? Fantasizing about drinking again. When he thinks one thought about drinking, what happens to that one thought about drinking? It becomes an obsession. Do you see now how this works? Do you see how the cycle goes? Even when he stops, he's not drinking at all. But what's happening inside his mind? His mind is obsessing over this. He can't stop. When you said therapist, that's how you help someone when they're suffering from this. The therapist helps them to work through a craving and break the addiction cycle. So someone who stops using, even if they're not using anymore, remember this is super, super important. A lot of people will relapse. They'll stop drinking, then drink again. They'll stop drinking, then drink again. They'll stop drinking for a long time, then drink again. It's a constant battle and fight for the rest of their lives against addiction. This is why it's such an incredibly difficult illness to treat. So moving forward from here, we're going to have a question that I'm going to ask. So pull out your phones, refresh your screen. If you missed it, if you don't know how to join, look up top right there. Just type in vivox.app into your browser and then put in the code you see up there and you can join in. I think we have like 5 or 6 people that dropped off. Nope, there we go. They're coming back. We have 11 folks here tonight, 12. Okay, good stuff. Join in if you haven't joined in and then submit your answer. You can submit more than one answer. And remember that it's completely anonymous. And if you don't know what some of these are, that's okay. We'll talk about what some of these are. It's all right. Okay. Half the crowd is in. Half of you got your answers in. Waiting on the other half. Almost there. 3 more people left. Two more people. Oh, one more. There we go. Perfect. 15 out of 15. Okay, you guys ready? Yes. Let's see everyone's answers. Wow, take a look. Remember, this is all of you. You are the ones telling me this. So, the question is, which of the following substances or addictions are you familiar? This is the 3 questions I'm asking. Are you familiar with? You've been offered at one point? Or you may have experimented with? And let's look at the first one. Cigarettes and nicotine. 60%, that's more than half the crowd, are familiar with, may have been offered at one point, or may even have experimented with or used cigarettes vape, Juul, or e-cigarettes, which is extremely common. And the e-cigarettes are either nicotine or you can see CBD or cannabis for those vape and those e-cigarettes. How about marijuana? A third of everyone here tonight has at one point been familiar with marijuana or offered marijuana at some point. Look at alcohol. Alcohol, the most obvious, most biggest haram thing that everyone talks about is haram. Half of everyone here has been in contact with or familiar with or offered at one point or knows about someone or something or some person using alcohol. Party drugs, LSD, MDMA, ecstasy, and Molly, 40%. Inhalants, like gas canisters, 13%. Opiates, painkillers, or heroin, 50% for the next 3. For opiates, for stimulants, and for pornography. Half the crowd tonight has an exposure to this. And of course, the final one, the bottom one all the way down there, eating and food binging. 80% of the crowd tonight. That's the most common addiction on the screen that you can see here, because every single one of us has access to food. But the problem with having access to food is when your food eating becomes out of control at that point. So take a look at the screen. I want you guys to take a look at what all of us as Muslims have been exposed to. It's so obvious when you look at this. You can't pretend that you don't know what this is, and that's why an event like tonight is so incredibly important. So you understand what these things are, what they do to you, and why we have to do our best to help people who may be using stuff like this. So I'm going to give you, yes, hit me.
What do you say inhalers? What do you mean by that?
I'm going to hit you up right here. I got you. Don't worry. I wouldn't throw out something like that and then not tell you what it is. So take a look at the screen. We're going to go through these one step at a time. I know it looks like a lot. There's a lot of stuff on the screen. I don't expect you to memorize this. There's no exam after this. I'm not like, whatever. We're going to start first with depressants. The point of depressants is that they make you feel slow. See the next block right there? It slows the brain down. It relaxes the body. It calms you down. What are some of the things that do that to you? What do you see over there on example time? What do you see there? You see alcohol. You see Xanax, Valium. Those are medications, Ambien, people who pop pills to feel this way. Look at the next one, stimulants. Stimulants help to pick the body up. They pep the body up, they give the body more energy. The most famous stimulant of all, and this is weird because I'm showing you drugs, but the most famous drug you see up there that's a stimulant is caffeine, coffee. Coffee is a stimulant. Coffee is a drug that gives you the same effect. It speeds the brain and body up. And you have an increase in your heartbeat, your lungs breathe much quicker, your heart speeds up. And what does this to you? Nicotine, cigarettes. Nicotine is a stimulant. Adderall, cocaine, methamphetamine, coffee. Next up after that are hallucinogens. Hallucinogens are when people talk about pop and Molly and whatever. That's a hallucinogen. Hallucinogens mean that you start to have hallucinations. You see things that aren't there. You hear things that aren't there. You feel things that aren't exactly there. You're believing that something's there when it's not there. You're hallucinating. So a hallucinogen would be like LSD, psilocybin, peyote. These are sort of things that you smoke and it makes you go into a hallucinogenic state. Next up are dissociatives. Dissociatives are memory-losing drugs. Drugs that make you lose your memory. You forget something that you're doing. So for example, PCP, ketamine, salvia, these are examples of dissociatives. Next are opiates. Opiates are painkillers. The normal purpose of a painkiller is if you fell and broke your arm outside the masjid, what do you take to feel better? You get a painkiller. What's the most common painkillers you can think of? You have them in your own home. What are some painkillers you have in your home? Tylenol, it's a painkiller. Motrin, ibuprofen is a painkiller. All these are painkillers. These are all considered to be drugs. The important thing is that you are using these medications in order to help you relieve pain, but what happens when you take too much or too many? What do you develop? An addiction to it. So some of the examples, and these are extreme examples, but heroin, fentanyl, Vicodin, codeine, these are very powerful versions of opiates. And then the last one, the question you asked me, what is an inhalant? What does inhalant mean? Inhalant is something that you breathe in. You breathe it in. And the way you breathe it in, the best example I can give you is, picture a, you know what your mom uses to clean the house? You use like a little spray, like a spray can. And when you push the thing down, the spray comes out. Now picture someone taking that spray and putting it in their mouth, and they're inhaling the spray as it comes out. This is called an inhalant. It's a gas, and you're inhaling the gas. And when you inhale the gas, what it does is it gives you a high. You feel high. The most common type of gas that we tend to smell and it gives us a weird feeling is gasoline. You guys are at the gas station, you know the smell of gasoline? Yeah. Be honest with me, does anyone like the smell of gasoline? Like you smell gasoline, you actually like the smell? Okay, do you know what that effect is? That's the inhalant effect. If I poured enough gasoline in front of you and I made you smell enough gasoline, you will get high. That's a high effect. So gasoline is one of the examples of an inhalant. You're not putting the gasoline in your body. You're not drinking the gasoline. That's not how it works. You are inhaling, you're smelling, you're sniffing. It's going into your lungs. That's why they call it an inhalant. So paint thinners, gas canisters, whippets, gasoline, these are things that you inhale. The major side effect of an inhalant, and this is super, super important. I want you to look at the bottom. What do you see in the bottom right down there for inhalants? Brain damage. One of the effects, you think to yourself, it's weird. You're inhaling something in your lungs. How does it affect the brain? Whatever you inhale into your lungs goes into the bloodstream and the blood carries it directly to the brain. When it comes to the brain, your brain cells don't know how to handle a gas. There's not supposed to be gas up here. So when you inhale a gas and it goes up to your brain, the gas kills the brain cells. And so your brain slowly dies as you inhale. So there are certain kids who at the age of like 12, 13 years old, they get addicted to like inhaling, and then by the time they become teenagers, 17, 18 years old, they have permanent, incurable brain damage by the time they get this. And this is something they did to themselves through that substance. It's very, very dangerous. These are very dangerous substances, and that's why I have to point out the effects that these substances can have on you. I hope that answers the question. Did you get like an idea of inhalants? And no, those are medicinal. Those are medications. We're talking, like I told you, we're talking about going to your mother's cabinet and getting out like a can and inhaling the can. That's what I'm talking about. No doctor will ever prescribe that. But what you're talking about is something for asthma. It's something that I will prescribe to you using a dosage, and that's different than inhaling. You can't get high off of that. You could use it a bunch of times, but it's just you medicating and helping yourself. So that's the difference. One is a medicine, the other one's a drug. So alcohol is pretty straightforward. I mean, I think everyone knows what I'm talking about when someone drinks alcohol. Look at all the different ways that alcohol affects the body. You're thinking to yourself what alcohol is doing is just you're getting drunk. When you're talking about getting drunk, only one part of your brain gets affected when you're drunk. Look up top. You get memory loss, mood swings, and dementia. Dementia means you lose your memories, and your memories don't come back. However, look at all the other things that alcohol does to the body. Breathing difficulties. You're having bleeding in your throat. That alcohol burns the throat as it goes down. You burn the throat enough times, your throat will bleed. Next up, your liver. It destroys the liver. The liver tries its best to clear the alcohol out of your system. But if you have too much alcohol in your system, it overloads the liver. The liver cannot help you anymore. So the liver dies. Next, you have your muscles. It causes breakdown of your muscles. You become weaker from drinking alcohol. Pancreas. It burns the pancreas, destroys the stomach. And your heart. It causes heart disease. Everything you can think of up on the screen, this is what alcohol does to you. It's not just a drink that you're consuming at this point. Next up after this is going to be nicotine. But I want to ask a question first before I talk about nicotine. So refresh your phone screens, jump back on, and I'm going to ask you guys a question. If you get this question wrong, I'm kicking you out of the room. I know, right? It's so unfair. So refresh the screen, jump in. We're missing like 2 people, I think. No, 3 people are missing. So we shall log in. The question that I'm asking you is, which of the following has the highest and strongest dose of nicotine? Nicotine is the addictive chemical. It's the addictive chemical. So is it cigars? Is it cigarettes? Is it a jewel pod or vape cartridge? Is it hookah or is it a pipe? Which one has the most amount of nicotine? Take a vote. What do you guys think? We're almost there. We're missing 2 more people. Almost there. Oh, someone keeps changing their answer. Take a guess. Don't worry about it. I ain't grading you. 1 more person left. There we go. 14 out of 14. Perfect. All right, we're missing. Oh, no, there's 15. There's 15. I don't know where 15 is, but whoever is 15, yes. I got you. Don't worry. I got you. We're going to get there. As soon as we hit the next. Oh, there we go. 15 out of 15. Here we go. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so we have 13% of the crowd thinking it's cigarettes. About a quarter of you think cigarettes. Jewel pod vape cartridge, 40% of the crowd feel that jewel pods and vape cartridges have the highest amount and strongest dose of nicotine. Hookah pipes, 13. And then, of course, a regular pipe. You see, like, professors and old men have, like, a pipe in their mouth that they smoke nicotine out of. That's, like, 6%. The correct answer for which of these has the highest and strongest dose of nicotine is Juul pods and vape cigarettes. So if you pick that and you're part of the crowd, you got the correct answer. Now, to answer the question, what are these things? I want you to look at the screen. I'm going to walk you through what these are, okay? So first, we're going to start with chewing and dipping tobacco. This is something you see very commonly down south. It's a very southern type of way of doing things, but you can also see it here in New York. You can see it in bodegas and you see it at gas stations. They'll often have a little tiny can, and you open the can and there's like a thing of nicotine in there. It's like tar. And then you sort of take it with your finger, you pull it out, and you rub it on your teeth. That's how you consume the nicotine. What happens is it gets absorbed through your teeth and it goes into your body. That's how they do it. So they chew it. All day they chew it. It's very similar to like pan, for example. If you guys know that in some cultures, particularly South Asian cultures, it's like something you put in your mouth and you suck on it all day. So chewing, dipping tobacco works the same way. What I want you guys to focus on as I go through these, I want you to focus on the numbers. You see the numbers? So the higher the number, the stronger the dose. The higher the number, the stronger the dose. So if I'm taking chewing tobacco and I'm putting the tobacco in my mouth, how much nicotine am I getting? 88 milligrams. That's a lot of nicotine, actually. It's a lot. How about a cigar? Cigars are those big, fat-looking cigarettes. You usually see like big, like billionaire guys and tycoons and evil guys in movies smoking them all the time. So like a cigar, a typical cigar, you get how much? 13.3 milligrams of nicotine. So it's not as bad as chewing tobacco, but still pretty bad. Now look in the bottom. What do you see for a Juul or an e-cigarette? What do you see? 59, but hold on, it's not just 59. 59 what? Per pod, it's 59. So when someone tells you that I'm smoking an e-cigarette, I'm smoking Juul, and I go through 2 pods a week, how much nicotine is in their system? Over 118. Do you see that anywhere else on this screen other than literally taking the actual nicotine itself and just putting it in your body, which is 144 milligrams per pouch? You know who does this? Cowboys do this. You're not going to see any of this stuff over here, but you're going to see plenty of that. And the reason why I want to point this out for Juul and e-cigarettes is because Juul and e-cigarettes have done something very clever. Basically, instead of kids walking around smoking cigarettes, because look at cigarettes up there. What do you get per cigarette? Per one cigarette, what do you get? Like 1.1.8 is what you get. And for a whole pack of cigarettes, what do you get? 22 or 36. The way they market e-cigarettes, Juul pods, and vapes to you guys are they will tell you these are safer and healthier than cigarettes. That's the one thing you're always going to hear. Your friends will probably tell you the same thing. Like, bro, this is safer than like cigarettes. At least I'm not doing cigarettes. It's safer than cigarettes, bro. It's better. This has a fruit flavor. It's mango flavored. I'm like, all right, that's great. Fantastic. Wow. Fantastic. But when you compare cigarettes and you compare Juul or Juul pods, what do you notice about the numbers between them? Take a full pack of cigarettes, a full pack. How much do you usually get in it? 22 to 36 milligrams. Now take 1 pod. How much are you getting in 1 pod? There's more nicotine, a stronger dose of nicotine in a single pod or vape cartridge than there is in a full pack of cigarettes. Or take a look at what it says right there. Read the other sentence now. Underneath Juul e-cigarette, what do you see underneath that sentence? It says there that 1 pod is equivalent to 1 pack of cigarettes, or how many puffs of a cigarette? 200 puffs of a cigarette it's the equivalent to. So anyone who tells you that this is healthier or safer or better is straight up lying to you to get you to start smoking this stuff. You're going to see this thing in every single vape shop. You walk down the street, you see a vape shop, what do you see them selling in the vape shop? Juuls and e-cigarettes. You're going to see pods everywhere. Someone in your class pulls it out. It looks like a little USB drive. They pull it out in the class. What do you see them do in between class? You literally watch them put it in their mouth, take a puff, and put it away. Because all day, every day, this is what they do. You'll see grown adults using it. It is the most common thing on this entire list. Now, there's only one other thing I'm going to point out. And the other thing I'm going to point out is this guy right here, which is hookah. Hookah is something that, unfortunately, this is not a white people problem. Hookah is a Muslim problem because all the hookah places that are owned and operated and run are not run by white people. Who runs hookah shops? Muslims do. We run those hookah shops. We're the ones putting this stuff out. In a typical hookah bowl, you have 1 hour of smoking. 1 hour of smoking equals how much? Equals how much nicotine? What do you see? A pack of cigarettes in 1 hour. How long do people sometimes spend in a hookah lounge? How many hours? I would probably say maybe 2 hours, 3 hours tops. So let's say maybe 4 if you're really having a good time and enjoying yourself. So in a typical 3 hours of being in a hookah lounge, how much nicotine are you putting in your body? if that's the case. You're putting 2 to 3 packs of cigarettes in your body with using that. Anyone who tells you that hookah is safe and hookah is good and Muslims are selling hookah, so hey, it's a halal, we sell halal food along with hookah, I'm thinking to myself, this is just drugs. You're literally just giving drugs to people. Can you get addicted to hookah? Yes, you absolutely can. Can you get addicted to e-cigarettes and Juul pods? Can you get addicted? Yes, you absolutely can. You can get addicted to everything you're seeing up on this screen. So this is what I want you guys to keep in mind for yourselves. Be careful how this stuff is marketed to you. Marketing companies figure that they can make money off of you guys as long as they tell you that something is safer and better, then you'll take it. Now this next topic is the biggest topic of all. Everyone wants to know about this stuff. We're going to be finishing with this topic and then wrapping up. And this is going to be marijuana. So what you're seeing on the screen, I'm going to give you guys a quick breakdown of what this stuff is and how this stuff works. So picture a daddy plant and 2 kids. A daddy plant and 2 kids. There are 2 kids. One kid is very slow, very lazy, doesn't really do anything, doesn't really get out of bed, kind of just lounges around. That's one kid. The other kid that this daddy has, this other son that this daddy has, this kid is bouncing off the walls. He's super wild. He's saying that he's like seeing things and he's like, oh my God, I'm like an astronaut, I'm gonna fly. And he jumps out the 2nd floor of the house and he's like throwing up all over the place and he's like smashing things all over, he's breaking things. That's the second kid. Do you see the 2 kids? Do you picture the 2 kids in your mind? Okay, so the first kid that I talked about, the one who's super slow and very relaxed and isn't doing anything, is kind of just lounging around, doing nothing. That kid is going to be hemp. The second kid that I told you about, the kid who's smashing stuff, breaking things, jumping all over the place, acting super wild, that kid is marijuana. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. There's 2 major ingredients you can see in hemp and marijuana. These are the 2 kids. When someone talks about marijuana just means that guy right there, that's marijuana. But that's not true marijuana. What else you have? Hemp and cannabis. So they'll confuse you by telling you, this isn't marijuana, bro, this is hemp. And you're thinking to yourself, I don't know the difference. That doesn't make sense to me. Or they'll tell you, bro, this is cannabis, this is marijuana. This is the way they're trying to fool you into thinking that there's separate things going on here. This is literally all part of the same family. It's just a dad, cannabis, and his 2 kids, hemp and marijuana. Now, when someone offers you marijuana, oftentimes it's not marijuana. It's marijuana mixed with hemp, or it's hemp mixed with marijuana. So can you tell what you're getting? You have no idea what you're getting. Absolutely not. So here's how you can tell the difference. There's a major ingredient. Do you guys, I'm going to take you back one screen. What do you see underneath hemp over here? What do you see? CBD, low, and THC. There's 2 specific words you're going to see on the screen. THC and CBD. So what is THC and what is CBD? THC has a long chemical name. It starts for tetrahydrocannabidiol. You don't need to know that. All you got to know is just THC. And look on the bottom. What does THC do to the brain? Does it activate or deactivate the brain? It activates the brain. THC is the kid who's bouncing on all over the walls. The brain is activated. The brain is wild. The brain is on fire. Now look at the other one. What does CBD do to the brain? It slows it down. It's shutting it down. So now let's go backwards. You guys know which one's which? What does THC do? Ramps the brain up. What does CBD do? Slows the brain down. Now let's go back. What do you guys see? What are you noticing about hemp and marijuana? Remember how I described the 2 kids? So let's look at the first kid, hemp. What is hemp high in? Which one is CBD? Slowing down. What else do you see there? What is it low in? Low in THC. THC is the one that makes you go wild. Now let's look at the next one, marijuana. What do you see in marijuana? High in THC. Which one's THC? Once it activates, it makes you go all over the place. What do you see that's low in? Now do you see the difference between the 2 and how they work? That's how you can tell apart what these different strains are. Yes, there's a hand up. What's up?
So marijuana would be like coffee, like 5% for me, and hemp would be like essence.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. That's a good way of thinking. I mean, these are different chemicals, but that's a good way of thinking about it. So for example, I'm going to give you 2 examples now, okay? So the first one's going to be like, you typically see this in like movies, where like you'll have a guy who like takes like a big like, you know, draw of like a blunt, and then he'll just be like, dude, like at the zoo, maybe it's the animals that think we're in cages and they're the ones who are free. This, what I just showed you right now, is which one? What did I smoke? Hemp. And what is hemp high in? CBD. So what am I doing right now? What do you see in me? I am very slow right now. I'm very relaxed right now. Do my thoughts make sense to you right now? Not really. It's kind of weird what I'm saying. Okay? Then you have the second type. The second type is what you commonly see, not on TV, because they're not going to show you this on TV. The second type is what you see in my ER. The second type is what you see in a police jail cell. Because typically, when someone takes a hit of the other one, when they take a hit of something very high in THC, they're thinking to themselves, oh my God, someone's coming to kill me right now. Someone's coming after me. I can see demons on the wall right now. There's shadows on the wall right now. There's like spiders crawling across my skin. All of you are coming to kill me. You're all buck naked right now. I'm going to strip my pants off and I'm outside in the street. This is the other version of it. There is nothing relaxing about any of this. Here's the problem now. If I'm a dealer and I'm selling marijuana, which one do you think will have more customers? Yeah, the slow one, right? People want to like relax more, so that one gets more customers. Which one's not going to have very good customers? So how do I get rid of this then? What do I do with all this? I have all this THC. What do I do with it? How do I get people to take it? I'm going to mix it with the other one. And I'm going to sell you marijuana and tell you that this is CBD, but what's inside the CBD? THC. Do you know what you're putting in your mouth? You have no idea what you're putting in your mouth. And what did I just do? I just made a sale. You bought my product. Do I care what happens to you? I'm not a doctor. I'm a dealer. I don't care what happens to you. I made my sale. This is why it's incredibly important to understand where this is coming from and how we use it. So if you look up at the screen, you'll notice all the different ways that marijuana is being marketed. So take a look. You can see people smoking it. You can see it in like topicals. There's a lot of shampoos and there's a lot of shampoos. There's a lot of like creams. There's a lot of stuff that's hemp flavored, CBD infused, CBD oils. Very common to see that stuff. You'll see drinks that have it. You'll see edibles. Edibles are like little tiny snacks like brownies and cookies. That inside the brownie and the cookie is CBD. Inside the brownie and cookie is THC. So when you eat it, you digest it, and what do you get the effect of? You get the effect of either the CBD or THC or a mix of the effect. You can see vapors, like vaporizing, like you literally are inhaling CBD or THC. You see sprays, you see patches, foods. There's so many different ways to have this. And in schools, you'll see everything. You'll see all of this in schools. Because, yeah, of course you'll see it. Believe me. You'll see everything. You'll see it all. And even if you don't see someone using, you'll see the effect. You'll see the effect. I can't tell you how many times I went into class and the guy sitting next to me comes into class, he has bloodshot eyes, he has red in his eyes, and he's sort of looking around like this in class. And I'm thinking to myself, what's wrong with him? I didn't know better at the time, but now, thinking back, I know what that guy is on. Where did he smoke? CBD. He smoked marijuana. That's what he smoked, and that's the effect that he's having. Now you know what these substances are and what they do. So, what does it actually do to the body? So this one you're going to see up here are going to be the signs and symptoms. So if you look on one side is going to be, as soon as you take the hit, this is what happens to you. You're going to feel relaxed, drowsy, you'll have loss of coordination, loss of inhibition, you'll be very tired, you might have anxiety, panic attacks, paranoia, psychosis. Psychosis is when you're having hallucinations and delusions. You're going to have dry mouth and throat, bloodshot eyes, and greening out, in which you feel very sweaty, very nauseous, your stomach churns, you could have nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. These are all the immediate effects. Look at long-term effects. If you have someone who smokes for years they're smoking, what do you see on this side? Problems with memory and learning. Dependence, meaning they can't stop smoking. It's now turned into an addiction. You're going to see decreased motivation and concentration, paranoia, psychosis, and then breathing problems. This is what you're going to see in someone who smokes long term. Someone who tells you that this stuff is super safe has no idea what they're talking about. No, it's not. This next slide is going to be on opiates. I'm just going to very lightly touch upon opiate use disorder. This is a huge problem in the Muslim community, and you think to yourself, well, I don't know Muslims that use heroin. That doesn't make sense to me. No, most Muslims, when they get into opiate use disorder, it's because they're taking painkillers. They're not addicted to heroin. They're not addicted to needles. They're addicted to the pills. They take more pills than what are needed. They take way more pills than they're supposed to at a longer frequency than they're supposed to. And then they ask their doctor for more, or they go to their friends and get more. And I'm telling you this because I can't tell you how many hijabis I have had in the ER at Nassau Medical Center coming in telling me that they're going into withdrawal because their pills ran out. And I'm thinking to myself, what happened to you? And the sister would say, I had back pain. I had back pain, so the doctor gave me pills, and I took all of them. And now I need more. I need more. And this scares me because this poor sister now will live the rest of her life fighting an opioid addiction while at the same time struggling with back pain. How do you handle both now? It is impossible now. This poor sister will live the rest of her life in this nasty cycle. The major thing to know about opiates is that opiates slow the body down, but there's one very, very important thing. I want to point to it right here that opiates do. Do you see where my finger's pointing? The major side effect that opiates have in the body is that opiates slow your breathing down. Your breathing becomes very slow. You probably don't notice this. You take Tylenol, you take ibuprofen, but you take such a small dose, you take one pill, and you only take it when you're sick, so you never realize the effect. But for someone who takes repeatedly, over and over and over and over again, lots of amounts, you're going to start to notice something about their breathing. Their breathing becomes very slow and very shallow. Eventually, what happens when you take an overdose of opiates is you pass out. When you pass out, your lungs shut down and you die in your sleep. This is considered an opiate overdose. So an overdose is when someone takes way more opiates than they're supposed to, way more painkillers than they're supposed to. It shuts the body down. When the body is asleep, your lungs stop working. You die in your sleep. You actually don't even realize that you have killed yourself in this moment because you're asleep when it happens. What you're seeing up on the screen is you're seeing three chemicals. You're seeing one that everyone knows about. That's heroin. Next to heroin, you see fentanyl, and next to fentanyl, you see carfentanil. Heroin is a derivative of morphine. Heroin is a very powerful painkiller. Heroin is a painkiller. It's derived from morphine. Morphine, think of morphine as a painkiller level of like 100. Tylenol is like a painkiller level of 10. Tylenol kills 10 units of pain. Morphine kills 100 units of pain. Heroin kills 1,000 units of pain. It's a very powerful painkiller. Very powerful painkiller. Now look at next to heroin. You see fentanyl. Fentanyl kills 10,000 units of pain. And then there's carfentanil. Carfentanil treats 100,000 units of pain. And you're thinking to yourself, how could a human being possibly have that level of pain? And you are correct. A human being cannot have that level of pain. Carfentanil is a painkiller for elephants. It's a painkiller for elephants. So, what you're looking up on the screen, this looks like a little bit of salt or sugar, right? And like a little tiny thing that you're seeing over there. What you're seeing is the amount needed of these substances inside your body in order to kill an adult grown human man. So to kill a man, you need to have that much heroin in your system, that much fentanyl in your system, and this much carfentanil is enough to kill you. This is something where when people smoke or when people consume substances, their dealer will take a little bit of the middle and they'll sprinkle just a little bit of it in your system. But what you don't know is that you have smoked and consumed fentanyl, and you don't know that you have. So what happens is you fall into a deep sleep, and then this much will kill you. You don't intend to die, but you die as a result. Unfortunately, in the Muslim community, particularly in Brooklyn, we had a few cases of a few youth in the masjid who died of overdose as a result of consuming opiates. They became addicted to the pills, and then from the pills they used more than they should have. They're just kids, they didn't know any better, and unfortunately we had a few janazas in the community from that. So some of the signs and symptoms that are super important is if someone is breathing very slow, they're waking and they can't be woken up. If you notice that their pupils are very small and their lips are blue, this means that they're not oxygenated, they're about to die. So what should you do in that case? You call 911 immediately. Immediately call 911. There is a rescue medication called Narcan. This is what doctors use. We basically stick this up the nose and spray it up the nose, and it revives someone who is an opiate overdose. This is something that paramedics use. So paramedics will have this on them. Call 911 if you ever see anybody in a masjid, at school, anywhere, wherever. If you see them passed out, you see them slow breathing, and you see blue on their lips, they're about to die. So you can save their life by calling 911. So the last thing I'm going to touch upon is going to be treatment. So in order to help someone treat their addiction, there are a few options that we can talk about. Let me make sure I have enough time. Okay, we have enough time. So there's a few options that I'm going to touch upon. So if you look on the screen, you're going to see a few here. So the first one you're going to see is an inpatient rehab. Think of inpatient rehab as a hospital. When someone is really, really sick and they can't control what they're using, you get them to an ER, and in the ER, they admit them to the hospital, and then a doctor like myself, a psychiatrist, will give them medication to help them come off of a substance, to help them break an addiction. So that is an inpatient rehab. They live in the hospital for a month, sometimes 2 months or 3 months, they live in the hospital to help them get clean. Detox is when I try to get the substance out of someone's system. So I want you to think of detox as the chemical or the drug is inside their body, we have to get it out. That's detox. Detox is done in an ER. If you bring someone to an ER, in the ER I can give them medication to help get the drug out of their system. And then once they get the drug out of their system, what can I do then? I can have them go to a rehab to stay clean. I can get them a counselor.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على
Okay, let's wrap up. This will be our final 2 slides, and then we're done for the night, inshallah. So, in order to get someone help, I'm going to recommend this guy up on the screen. This is a wonderful organization called Melati Islami. Melati Islami is a substance treatment group, and these are a group of brothers and sisters who all themselves have suffered from using substances and having addictions, and they help each other work through their addictions. So they actually meet once a week, every week, and they have chapters all over. There's one right here in New York. In the city. You can log in on Zoom and join them. If you know anyone, if you have a family member, a friend, someone you know who's suffering from an addiction or suffering from this and needs help from another group of Muslims, you can join Melati Islami. Melati Islami will offer substance treatment options. There's a Melati Islami sisters group of all sisters that suffer from addiction, and they help each other with their addictions as well. So there's a brothers group and a sisters group from Melati Islami. So I strongly recommend this particular organization. Strong recommendation for them. And the last one is a book. I don't know if you guys are going to get this, but just in case. But there is a book that's written by 2 brothers who they themselves used and then went to jail for drug possession. And when they got out of jail, they decided to clean up, and then they formed a Muslim addiction recovery program. And they're helping other Muslims in their community overcome their addiction. So it's Overcoming Addiction, Islamic Approach to Recovery by the Taiba Foundation. Excellent book that Melati Islami uses quite a bit to help their members. So with that being said, I'm pretty much done for tonight. So I just want to say Jazakallah khair. Thank you guys so much. You can feel free if you want to send me an email. You can also get me on Gram if you want to hit me up on Gram. If you have any questions, any concerns, any issues, need help, need a referral, whatever it is, you can hit me up right there. So Jazakallah khair, and thank you all so much for tonight's event. I hope inshallah this was informative. Maybe a little scary, I know, but I hope inshallah it was informative for everyone tonight. All right? So I'll be sticking around after Salah. I'll be here. So if you want to talk to me one-on-one or ask me questions, whatever, I'm here. All right? So Jazakallah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's up, dude? Good to see you too, bro. Come on, Hazel. I know. It's been forever. And you got that one?
Jazakumullah, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you Dr. Omar Shareef for taking out the time to work with our community. May Allah reward you. You can stay up to date with us, JMC Youth, and our activities and upcoming events on our Facebook, Jamaica Muslim Center Official, our Instagram at JMC_org, and on YouTube, Jamaica Muslim Center. Tomorrow night after Isha, there will be a sisters only bonfire event here at JMC. Muallima Shamsun from Al Kawthar Institute will join. We encourage all sisters to join. You can RSVP for that program by scanning the QR codes on the flyers that are posted on the entrance doors. Also, we are taking pre-orders for our JMC Youth hoodies. They are being sold for $30 each. If anyone is interested, please text your name and size to 347-410-6478. The number is posted on the wall in the front. We hope to see you at your next event, inshallah. Everyone, please remember to take one dinner on your way out. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm in AP seminar, and